Welcome to another episode of HISD at Home. My name is Ms. McCullough and I will be your 4th grade math instructor for today's video. Hi 4th graders! I hope you guys are all ready to do some math with me today. I just wanted to say that I'm so proud of you guys. We are almost done with the first semester, so keep going, keep hustling. You guys are almost there. I'm super proud of you and all of your work that you've done so far. Today we are going to cover divisions and we are going to do 2 strategies with division. The first strategy that I'm going to show you guys is called the partial quotient model. And the second strategy that I'm going to show you guys, maybe some of you are familiar with it, it's called the standard algorithm to division. So hopefully in today's video, you guys gain a little bit of some depth, you guys gain some new strategies, or you just enhance your division that you already do. Once again, this is 4th grade math. Today we will be covering division, and my name is Miss McCullough. So 4th graders, as usual, before we begin my videos, you guys know that we will need some items in order to do this practice today. The first thing that you're going to need is a pencil or a writing utensil. The second thing you're going to need is a math notebook or a sheet of paper. Find anything around your house. And the third thing that you're going to need is a place where you can sit and focus and really get in on the math today. I'm going to go ahead and give everyone around a minute to gather your items, your materials, and go ahead and get ready to get started with me today. All right, 4th graders, if you have all of your materials, you have your notebook, you have your writing utensils, you have your sheet of paper, go ahead and show me a thumbs up so that I see that everyone is ready to go and ready to learn. Very good, guys. I see lots of thumbs up out there. So what I'm going to go ahead and do next is read the objective. Remember, guys, the objective is super important, right? Because it tells us what we're going to learn, what the thing is that we're going to gain today, and a little bit of our learning goal, right? So it's going to tell us what we're going to do and how we're going to apply that. So let's go ahead and get right into that. All right, 4th grade. So let's read our objective together, okay? Our objective states, today we will use the partial quotient model and the standard algorithm to divide up to a 4-digit dividend by a 1-digit divisor. All right, everyone. So basically, this objective just tells us that we are going to use 2 different strategies to divide today. The first one is the partial quotient model, and the second one is the standard algorithm. And we are going to divide up to a 4-digit dividend. And remember that the dividend is the number that we are dividing by a 1-digit divisor, and that is the number that we are actually dividing by. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to do some table work today. So that basically means where you guys are just going to see my hands, you're going to see a word problem, and we're going to just solve some strategies that way, okay? All right, if you guys are ready, go ahead and give me a thumbs up one more time. Let me see. Awesome work. Okay, fourth graders, so I wanted to quickly go over some vocab with you. I know that I went over this vocabulary in our last video, but I wanted to go ahead and do it again as I will be using these terms very frequently when we discuss division problems, okay? So let's look at the first word that we see here. This word says divisor. Now remember, the divisor is just the number that you are dividing by. It's usually always the second one in the equation, so this is the divisor. The next vocabulary word is remainder. Remember, guys, that the remainder is just the amount that's remaining once we divide. For example, 33 divided by 5, this gives us 6 equal groups, but we have 3 left over, and we can't put each one of these into one of the groups. Remember, you need to have equal groups. So if we put these 3 and distribute them amongst 1 or 2 or even 3 of the groups and put 1 in each, the groups are going to be unequal, right? Because one of the groups is going to have more than the other. So you remember, when you have a remainder, it's just the amount that remains, okay? Next word is quotient. This is really important. Remember in multiplication when we discussed product? Well, in division, this is just like the product. It's the quotient. This is the result of dividing. Remember in multiplication, the product is the result of multiplying, like the answer, right? So in division, when we want to explain the answer or the result of dividing, we go ahead and say quotient. And last but certainly not least, this word is dividend. This is the number that you are dividing. More than likely, guys, it's the first number in the equation itself. So remember that the dividend is the number that you are dividing, and the divisor is the number that you are dividing by. So in this equation, 42 would be the dividend, 7 would be the divisor, and 6 would be the quotient. All right, guys, let's get right into the math. As you guys can see, this is a word problem, and for this specific word problem, we are going to use the partial quotient model to division. So I'm going to grab 2 things. I'm going to grab a writing utensil, and I'm going to grab a highlighter. So I hope you guys are ready to follow along with me. All right, so let's read the question. Remember, when we get word problems, we always want to read the question twice. The first time we read, guys, is just so that we can read as if we're reading a story, just to kind of get a gist of what the problem wants us to do, what the problem's about. And then the second time we read to really hone in on that math and get a good detail as to what we really need to do, what the question is asking of us, and we also pay attention to the numbers or values in that problem. So let's go ahead and read it the first time as if we're reading something for fun. Miss Baker is donating her book collection to local libraries. She has 439 books to distribute equally among 8 libraries. How many books will each library receive? All right, so just reading it the first time, we know that the question is about this teacher named Miss Baker, and she's donating some of her books to a library, and she just kind of wants to donate a certain number of books to libraries, and she wants to donate an equal number amount to each library so that it's not unfair. So let's read it one more time, fourth graders, just to really get into the numbers and see what specifically we have to do. Miss Baker is donating her book collection to local libraries. She has 439 books to distribute equally amongst 8 libraries. How many books will each library receive? All right, so just by reading this question, we are able to now pick out the important information. So the first thing I'm going to highlight, guys, is the question. And I always like to highlight the question in word problems because the question tells us what we need to do. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the number values. So here I see 439 books, and I see equally amongst 8 libraries. So I can already tell that we are going to give 8 libraries 439 books, and they all have to have the equal amount. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with our trusty get chart. Now, I know that today's video was about division, so obviously in this question, guys, we're going to have to divide. But I want us to get into the habit of writing out our get chart, because when we get word problems like this in the STAR, we're not going to know whether we have to divide or multiply until we fill out our get chart. Now, as a refresher, remember that your get chart stands for groups, each, and total. Okay, so I'm going to put that here. Groups, each, and total. These are the values that are represented in multiplication or division questions, and we can go ahead and fill them out. Once we fill out each one of these values, we know whether we have to multiply or divide. Remember that if we need to find the total, that is the only time that we multiply. If we need to find each, we're going to go ahead and divide. And if we need to know the groups, we're going to go ahead and divide one more time. All right, guys, so let's fill this out. How many books does Miss Baker have in total? Yeah, she has 439 books in total. Very good. Now, in this question, do we know the groups or each? Let's see. So she has 439 books to distribute equally among 8 libraries. How many books will each library receive? So do we know how many books each library is going to receive? No, we don't know, right? That's our question. So I'm going to go ahead and put a question mark. That's what we need to find out. But we know how many groups or how many libraries we're going to give, right? Yeah, we're going to give books to 8 libraries. So we are missing the each value, so we know that we have to divide. Awesome work. So as I said, guys, we're going to solve this problem using the partial quotient model. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to title this partial quotient. As you guys can see, this is the partial quotient model to division. So when we start the partial quotient model, it's kind of like Hangman. Have you guys played that game before? Yeah, some of you are familiar with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a big, kind of like a hangman thing here, just like this. So go ahead and follow along with me and draw that out on your paper. So inside the house, we're going to go ahead and put in our dividend. This is the number that we are dividing. And on the outside, we're going to put our divisor. And this is the number that we are dividing by. So in this instance, 439 would be our dividend, and 8 would be our divisor. So, like I said, we're going to go ahead and do partial quotient model, and here's how it works. We are going to look at the biggest value we can take away from 439, and when I say take away, I mean subtract. So what is the biggest value that we can subtract from 439? That is a multiple or a product of 8. So what I'm going to do in this instance, I see and I know that 8 times 10 is 80. And I can subtract 80 from 439 because 80 is less than 439. So I'm going to take away 80. And I'm going to draw a line so that I know that I'm subtracting. And out here, guys, I'm going to write 10 because I know that 10 times 8 gives us 80. So let's subtract. 9 minus 0 is 9. 3 minus 8 is not possible, so we're going to go ahead and regroup. So this 4 turns into a 3, and this 3 turns into a 13. You see I put a little 1 here. It almost looks like a B, but it's a 1. So 13 minus 8 is, very good, 4th grade, 5. And 3 minus 0 is, yeah, 3. So now we have 359. But wait. What is 8 times 2? Yeah, 8 times 2 is 16. What about 8 times 20? Think back to multiplication, guys. Remember when I told you that zeros are kind of just added at the end? So if we know that 8 times 2 is 16, we know 8 times 20. We just add a 0 at the end. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 20 is just really 8 times 2 with a 0, right? So what's 8 times 20? Yeah, it's 160. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and subtract 160 from here, and I'm going to put a 20 right here. Because I know that 8 times 20 gives me 160. So let's subtract 359 from 160. 9 minus 0 is, yeah, 9. 5 minus 6, can we do that? No, so we have to regroup. This 3 is going to turn into a 2, and this 5 is going to turn into a 15. What's 15 minus 6? Awesome work, 9. And what is 2 minus 1? 1. Now, I know that I just took away 160, and I know that 160 divided by 8 is 20, or 20 times 8 is 160. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, can I go ahead and take another 160 from this? Is this a greater value than 160? Am I able to subtract that down here? Yes, I am. So I'm going to take another 160, and always remember to write the value on the side. 20. So 9 minus 0 is 9. 9 minus 6 is 3. And 1 minus 1 is, 0. So now I have 39. So I want us to think back to our multiplication tables, specifically the 8s. Does anyone know what is the greatest amount that we can subtract from 39 that is a multiple of 8? And when I mean the greatest value, I don't mean 80, because we can't take 80 from 39. I mean the greatest value, the greatest number that we can subtract from 39 that is a multiple of 8. This means that this number has to be equal to or less than 39, because we're going to subtract it, but it has to be a multiple of 8. So if you're not sure and you don't know your 8 times tables, try and see if you can look into your multiplication chart, and it might help you a little bit. Does anyone have a guess? Yeah, 32. And 32, I know that 4 times 8 gives me 32. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 4 on the side, and I'm going to subtract 39 and 32. So let's do it together. What is 9 minus 2? Wow, awesome work. 9 minus 2 is 5. And what is 3 minus 3? You guys are on fire. 3 minus 3 is 0. Now look here. Can I put 8 into 5? If I have 8 candies, which I'm going to draw it here. Pretend these are candies, guys. And I have 5 boxes. Can I put every single box? Can I put an equal amount in each box? No, right? So can I do anything with this number? Absolutely not. So I know that this here is going to be the remainder. This is our remainder. And with partial quotient, guys, in order to find the answer or the quotient, what we're going to do is we're going to add these values on the side. So I always tell my class, go ahead and add it neatly somewhere else on your sheet of paper. So I'm going to add them right here. That way I know that I have to add in a certain specific way and I won't get mixed up. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 4 is 4. 1 plus 2 is, that's right, 3. And 3 plus 2, fourth grade, 5. Very good. So our quotient is 54, remainder 5. That's our answer, or our quotient to this problem. Do you guys understand this a little bit? Okay, awesome. So this was partial quotient model, guys. Remember that what we're doing here is we're basically just dividing and we're subtracting the multiples of the divisor. And we're going to go ahead and put that number that we multiply the divisor by on the side, and then at the end we add all of those multiples together to get the quotient, and then we have our remainder at the bottom. Now some people really like this strategy. I personally like it myself, but with this strategy, guys, you have to be really good good at your multiplication tables. So if you guys are like, yes, I love multiplication, I know how to do it, I'm great at it, awesome work, guys. Go ahead and use this partial quotient model. Next, I'm going to get into another model that's called the standard algorithm that might help us just a little bit, okay? So this method here, we're going to use standard algorithm for this question. So next, remember what we do when we have word problems is that we always read them 2 times. So let's read it together. The local sports team hosted a food drive. They had 7,536 canned food items that had to be distributed equally among 6 posts. How many canned food items did each post receive? I'm going to go ahead and read it one more time. So basically we know that a sports team is donating some food and they have to give each food item equally among 6 posts. And we want to know how many food items each post is going to get. So now let's read it one more time to really get a grasp of the information. The local sports team hosted a food drive. They had 7,536 canned food items that had to be distributed equally among 6 posts. How many canned food items did each post receive? So the first thing I'm going to do, guys, is highlight the question. And the question here states, how many canned food items did each post receive? The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and highlight the important information or the number values in the question. So I see here that I have 7,536 canned food items in total, and I see that they have to be distributed equally among 6 posts. So next, what we're going to do is our get chart. Never forget your get, guys. Never forget your get. So I'm going to go ahead and write out my get here. And remember, get stands for groups, each, and yes, total. So how many food items in total do we have? We have 7,536 food items in total. Now, how many groups do we have? Yeah, we have 6 groups. And how many will each group receive? Yeah, we don't know that yet. So we're going to put a question mark here because that we just don't know. All right. So this method, guys, is going to be a little different than partial quotient. This is going to be called the standard algorithm. So remember, in partial quotient model, we went ahead and drew a big old hangman house. Well, for standard algorithm, we just draw a small one like this. Remember that the dividend always goes inside. And the divisor, he likes to chill outside, so we'll put him here. Now, everybody take out your finger, your pointer finger, and what we're going to do is we're going to cover each value except for the first number. So we're going to cover every single number except for the first one. So you guys can see here that I have a 7. And I have a question, 4th grade. Can 6 go into 7? Yeah, how many times can 6 go into 7? Yeah, once, right? So 6 can go into 7 one time. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 6 from that. Because 6 can go into 7 one time, and I'm going to subtract 6, and I know that 7 minus 6 is 1. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the next number, because I know that 6 can't go into 1, can it? Nah. But I'm going to drop the next number, and this is going to be 5. Can 6 go into 15? Yes, it can. How many times can 6 go into 15? 2 times. Very good. So I'm going to put a 2 up here. And what is 2 times 6? You guys told me that 6 can go into 15 2 times. So what is 2 times 6? Very good, 12. So I'm going to take 12 from 15. What's 5 minus 2? 3. And what's 1 minus 1? 0. Very good. Well, I'm going to go ahead and drop down this next value because I know that 6 can't go into 3. So I'm going to drop down this next value and make it 33. Can 6 go into 33? Yeah, it can. How many times can 6 go into 33? Awesome work, 4th grade. 6 can go into 33 5 times. And what is 5 times 6? 30. So I'm going to go ahead and take 30 from here. And I'm left with 3. And now what I'm going to do is bring down this last digit, which is the 6. And we have 36. Can 6 go into 36? Yeah, it can. And how many times can 6 go into 36? 6 times, because what is 6 times 6? 36. So let's take 36 from 36. And 36 minus 36 is 0. 6 minus 6 is 0, and 3 minus 3 is 0. And guess what, 4th graders? Your quotient, or your total, your answer, is this number right here at the top. So what is our answer, guys? Yeah, our answer is 1,256. This is our quotient. So that's how we do it with standard algorithm. So what we do in standard algorithm, guys, is we go ahead and we look at the value of the divisor and we see how many times the divisor can go into each number of this dividend. Okay, so we look at every single number, one by one by one by one. And if it can't do it anymore, we drop the next number down. And we keep dropping them until we get a number that is less than the divisor, so it would have to be 5 or less, or until we get 0, right? So, and then what we do is we just look at this number on the top here, and that is our answer. So how do you guys like this method compared to the last one? Yeah, you like this one a little better? I personally, for my class, like I said, I like partial quotient personally, but my students actually really prefer this method. So this is the one that we're kind of with this year. So it's up to you guys, or whatever you feel comfortable with doing divisions. All right, guys, well, I hope that you liked one of these two methods, and hopefully it helped you a little bit with your division problems. If you feel like it did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Very good. Now, if you liked partial quotient, give me a thumbs up if you like partial quotient more. Yeah? What if you didn't like partial quotient and it was a little too confusing for you? Give me a thumbs down. Okay. And if you like standard algorithm, go ahead and give that a thumbs up. Yeah, I see a lot more thumbs up for standard algorithm. Like I said, guys, find what works for you, and whatever works for you is what you can go ahead and do when it comes to division, okay? All right, everyone. So as a quick challenge for this week, I just wanted to challenge you to use one of the strategies for today's video that you really liked. So whether that's partial quotient model or the standard algorithm to solve this problem right here. So see if you can use one of the strategies that we covered today to solve this problem right here. It's 8 divided by 6,365. See if you guys can solve it using the preferred method of today's video. All right, 4th grade, that concludes our division video. I hope that you guys were able to learn a few strategies today to apply to your division. If you veer more towards one or another, that's perfectly fine, guys. Go ahead and use what feels good and comfortable to you. What you like to use, what you know works for you, and that's totally awesome with me. But if you learned a new strategy today and you really like it, go ahead and try and apply it in your math class with your teacher. See how it works. Maybe tell your teacher about it if you haven't covered it in class yet. All right, guys, well, I hope you have a lovely week ahead of you, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.